Hello there guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to continue our series on anime, where the main character dies. Or, as I like to call it, third time's the charm, baby. So this list, as you know, is for anime where the main character dies, whether it's multiple times at the beginning, at the end, or maybe even halfway through. Well anyway, just know that the anime on this list are ones where the main character can die, runs out of plot armor, or the plot just seems to have it out for them. Also, parts 1 and 2 will be linked somewhere up here and down in the description. Without further ado, let's begin, shall we? Starting us off is Shinpei Ajiro from Summertime Rendering. Okay, so it's not exactly your typical MC dies anime because, well, he doesn't stay dead. But trust me, the guy drops like a fly more times than you can count, and honestly, it's kind of impressive how many ways he finds to bite the dust. Like, props for creativity here. If you don't know this anime, it's basically about a dude named Shinpei who comes back to his tiny island hometown after his childhood friend Ushio dies under mysterious circumstances. At first, he thinks it was just some tragic accident because, you know, people trip and fall all the time, but then things get weird. Real weird. Turns out her death is tied to this whole conspiracy involving shadow beings, which are basically evil doppelgangers created by some freaky time loop thing connected to the island's mythology. Yeah, I said mythology. And shadow monsters. This show doesn't mess around. But here's where it gets wild. Shinpei keeps dying. A lot. Like, one minute he's investigating Ushio's suspiciously fishy death, pun intended, and the next, bam, he gets shot in the head or stabbed or drowned, or whatever else the writers decided would make good TV. But hey, no big deal, because every time he dies, he wakes up again at the start of the same day. It's like Groundhog Day. Except instead of Bill Murray learning life lessons, we've got Shinpei trying not to get murdered while unraveling an ancient island mystery. Fun times. Oh, and let's talk about Ushio's little sister Mio, because she's along for the ride too. Together, they're digging into clues about the island's dark past, which apparently involves immortality, shadows, and enough twists to give you whiplash. The tension builds as Shinpei tries to protect everyone he cares about while also figuring out how to stop the shadow apocalypse that's looming over them like a creepy storm cloud. Spoiler alert, it's stressful. What makes Summertime Rendering stand out isn't just the fact that Shinpei dies constantly. It's how the story blends sci-fi mechanics with horror, mystery, and emotional drama. You're on edge the entire time, wondering if he'll actually survive this go-around or if someone new will kick the bucket before the credits roll. Plus, there's something oddly satisfying about watching him slowly piece together the puzzle, even if it means getting killed over and over again. If you haven't seen Summertime Rendering yet, go check it out. It's suspenseful, action-packed, and full of enough twists to keep you glued to your screen. Just be prepared for the feels, and maybe a headache from keeping track of the timeline. Trust me though, it's worth it. Number 2 on this list is Subaru Natsuki from Read Zero, starting life in another world. Okay? So it's another one of those main character dies a lot anime. But hey, at least this guy has a cool power to show for it. Kind of. I mean, sure, he can rewind time every time he dies, but trust me, it's not as fun as it sounds. In fact, it's kind of a nightmare, both for him and for us watching. So, here's the deal. Subaru is your average high schooler who gets sucked into a fantasy world after leaving the convenience store. Classic start, right? No explanation, no epic summoning ritual, just bam, fantasy world. Oh, and he meets Emilia, a silver-haired beauty with a magical cat spirit named Puck. Things seem pretty chill at first until Subaru realizes that every time he dies, and trust me, he dies a lot, he gets sent back to a specific point in time. It's called Return by Death, and honestly, it sounds way cooler than it actually is. Imagine reliving the same moments over and over again while everyone else stays blissfully unaware. Sounds exhausting, right? That's because it is. And let's talk about how Subaru dies, because oh boy, does he go out in some creative ways. Sometimes it's monsters tearing him apart, other times it's betrayal, poison, or just straight up despair. And every single time, he has to get up, dust himself off, metaphorically speaking, and try again. Some of these deaths are brutal, not just physically, but emotionally. Like, there are moments where you're sitting there thinking, man, maybe it's time to let him rest. But nope. Subaru keeps coming back for more punishment, determined to fix things and protect the people he cares about. Respect, I guess? What makes Reed Zero stand out isn't just the endless cycle of death. It's how much it messes with Subaru's head. Every loop takes its toll on him, and you can see him slowly breaking down as the series goes on. He's not exactly the most likable guy either. He's whiny, selfish, and makes bad decisions more often than not. But despite all that, you can't help but root for him, because deep down he's trying his best. Plus, he grows a ton throughout the series, learning to face his fears, overcome his insecurities, and become someone worth rooting for. Oh, and let's not forget the supporting cast, like Ram and Ram, the maid duo who add their own layers of drama and heartbreak to the mix. Or Emilia, who Subaru is absolutely smitten with, even though she doesn't always understand what he's going through. The blend of romance, despair, and perseverance keeps you hooked, even when Subaru's repeated failures make you want to scream into a pillow. If you haven't seen Re Zero yet, go give it a shot. It's intense, emotional, and packed with enough twists to keep you glued to your screen. Just be prepared for the feels, and maybe a headache from keeping track of all the timelines. Trust me though, it's worth it. Alright, moving on to number 3 on this list is Banana Fish. And no, it's not about actual bananas or fish. It's way darker than that. But hey, if you're into gritty crime dramas with a side of romance and betrayal, this one's for you. Okay? So here's the deal. Our boy Ash Lynx is basically the poster child for troubled youth. He's a teenage gang leader in New York City, which already sounds like a recipe for disaster, right? Oh, but wait, there's more. Ash is also investigating this super sketchy drug called banana fish, which apparently drives people insane. Sounds fun, doesn't it? Like, who wouldn't want to live in a world where mysterious drugs are floating around, and everyone wants a piece of them? Oh, and did I mention Ash was raised by Dino Golzine, an infamous gangster who's basically the human equivalent of toxic parenting? Yeah, poor kid can't catch a break. So now Ash is stuck trying to figure out what the heck banana fish even means while dodging bullets, rival gangs, and his own messed up past. It's like a never-ending episode of Cops, except way more intense and with better haircuts. But wait, things get interesting when Ash meets Eiji Okumura, a Japanese photographer's assistant who's about as wholesome as they come. These two hit it off immediately, and for once, it seems like Ash might actually have something good in his life. You know, aside from being constantly hunted by criminals and dealing with enough trauma to fill a therapy journal. Their bond is sweet, heartfelt, and honestly kind of adorable until it isn't. Because spoiler alert, Ash gets stabbed. Yeah, you heard me. After everything he goes through, uncovering conspiracies, fighting bad guys, and trying to protect the people he cares about, he ends up getting knifed by a rival gang member. Brutal, right? But here's the kicker. As he's bleeding out, he reads a letter from Eiji. Cue the waterworks. It's tragic, poetic, and honestly kind of beautiful in a rip my heart out and stomp on it kind of way. And let's not forget the backstory, because Banana Fish loves to throw curveballs at you. Turns out, the whole thing starts back in Vietnam in 1973, tying together themes of war, corruption, and government experiments gone wrong. Heavy stuff, right? The series tackles some seriously dark topics like child abuse, sexual violence, and trauma, but it does so with a surprising amount of care. At its core, though, it's really about love, friendship, and surviving in a world that feels like it's actively trying to destroy you. So yeah, Ash dies. And man, does it hurt. Just when you think he might finally escape the gang life and start fresh, fate pulls the rug out from under him. Fans were devastated, and honestly, I don't blame them. It's one of those moments where you sit there staring at the screen like, wait, what? No. But at the same time, it's kind of fitting. Ash gave everything he had to protect the people he loved. And in the end, that's what made him a hero. If you haven't seen Banana Fish yet, go check it out. It's action-packed, emotionally charged, and full of twists that'll keep you hooked until the very last episode. Just be prepared to cry your eyes out when Ash meets his untimely demise. Seriously, grab some tissues, or maybe a whole box. You've been warned. Alright, we're rolling into number 4 on this list. So today, we're talking about Cowboy Bebop. Quick refresher. It's the year 2071. Earth is a radioactive wasteland thanks to some hyperspace gateway disaster, classic sci-fi move, and humanity has spread across the solar system. Enter Spike Spiegel, our laid-back, smooth-talking, martial arts master protagonist. He's part of a ragtag crew aboard the Bebop, a beat-up spaceship that somehow manages to stay airborne despite looking like it was pieced together from spare parts. Alongside him is Jet Black, his no-nonsense partner with a cybernetic arm. Faye Valentine, a sassy con artist drowning in debt. Ed, a hyperactive hacker kid who might actually be smarter than everyone combined. And I'm a genetically enhanced dog who's probably the most useful member of the team. Seriously, Ein deserves a raise. The gang spends their days chasing bounties to scrape together enough money for ramen and fuel, all while dealing with their own baggage. Because let's face it, nobody in Cowboy Bebop has their life together. Spike, in particular, is carrying around some heavy emotional luggage. His past involves a criminal syndicate, a rivalry with a guy named Vicious, who sounds like he should be auditioning for a metal band, and a complicated relationship with Julia, the woman he once loved. Oh, and did I mention she dies? Yeah, spoilers. But hey, this is Cowboy Bebop, so tragedy comes standard. Now let's talk about Spike's death because, well, that's why we're here. Throughout the series, Spike keeps narrowly escaping death like it's an Olympic sport. Whether it's dodging bullets, fighting off assassins, or surviving absurdly dangerous bounty hunts, the guy has more lives than a cat. So, when the final episode rolls around and Spike decides to confront Vicious head-on, you kind of expect him to walk away unscathed again. Wrong. In true Cowboy Bebop fashion, Spike goes out in a blaze of glory, or maybe just a lot of gunfire. After Julia's death, he realizes he can't keep running from his past anymore. So, what does he do? He marches straight into Vicious' lair, ready to settle the score once and for all. Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well for Spike. Some fans were pissed, arguing that he didn't deserve to die. Others thought it was fitting, given how much of the show revolves around the idea that you can't outrun your past forever. Either way, it's a gut punch that leaves you staring at the screen like, wait, that's it? No. But here's the thing about Cowboy Bebop. It's not really about the central storyline. Sure, there's an overarching plot involving Spike, Vicious, and the Red Dragon Syndicate. But the heart of the series lies in its characters and themes. Each episode feels like its own mini-movie, blending neo-noir aesthetics, space western vibes, and action-packed sequences, all set to one of the coolest jazz soundtracks in anime history. At its core, though, the show is about existentialism and the search for meaning in a cruel, uncaring universe. Spike, Faye, Jet, they're all trying to find redemption or just survive in a world that doesn't care whether they live or die. And honestly, Spike's death encapsulates that perfectly. He spends the entire series running from his past, trying to pretend it doesn't exist, only to realize in the end that the only way to truly escape it is to face it head-on, even if it kills him. Which, it does. Poetic justice? Maybe. Heartbreaking? Absolutely. If you haven't seen Cowboy Bebop yet, go watch it. It's stylish, smart, and packed with unforgettable moments. Just be prepared for the feels when Spike meets his fate. Trust me, you'll either cry, scream, or sit there silently processing your emotions while muttering, "Why, Spike? Why?" Alright, so we're finally at number 5 on this list. And if you've been following along, you know I like to keep things spicy when it comes to anime where the main character kicks the bucket, or in this case, gets absolutely obliterated by plot armor wearing Finn. So, let's talk about Attack on Titan. Yeah, that one. The show that started as giant naked dudes eating people and somehow turned into a geopolitical nightmare with more twists than your average pretzel factory. Okay? First off, let me set the stage for you. Imagine living in a world surrounded by giant walls, because outside those walls are titans, massive, creepy humanoid monsters who just love snacking on humans for no apparent reason. Sounds fun, right? Well, our boy Eren Yeager doesn't think so. His whole life gets flipped upside down when the colossal titan busts through the wall, letting all these pure titans flood in like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Oh, and did I mention his mom gets eaten by a titan right in front of him? Talk about rough parenting. So naturally, Eren, his adoptive sister Mikasa, who's basically the human version of overpowered DLC, and their buddy Armin decide they're gonna join the military and kick some titan butt. Fast forward a bit, and during a battle, Eren discovers he can transform into a titan. Cue dramatic music and everyone losing their minds. including me watching from my couch. This moment becomes the turning point for humanity's fight against the Titans, or so we thought. Now here's where things get wild. Because Attack on Titan isn't satisfied with just being a cool action-packed story about fighting giant monsters. No, it decides to pull back the curtain and reveal centuries of political drama, racial oppression, and generational beef between the Eldians and the Marleyans. It turns out there's a lot more going on than just Titans bad. There's this whole backstory involving Emer Fritz, the OG Titan lady who made a deal with some Earth demon, and her powers splitting into 9 different Titan abilities passed down through generations. Honestly, it feels like someone took a history textbook, threw it into a blender, and served it with extra existential dread. But let's focus on poor Eren, shall we? Over time, he goes from "I want to kill all the Titans" to "I want to kill everyone who wronged my people," which is quite the glow-up or downfall. Depends on how you look at it. He starts making morally questionable decisions left and right, including committing mass genocide, because apparently revenge is best served cold and bloody. By the 3rd season, fans could already see the writing on the wall, or should I say, the cracks in the wall. Eren's fate was sealed tighter than the walls protecting humanity. And then, it happens. Eren dies. Yep, the mangaka Hajime Isayama straight up offs his own main character. But honestly, it makes sense. After everything Eren put us, and the rest of the cast, through, it's almost poetic justice. Some fans were even cheering, like, "Yeah, take that, you chaotic mess." Meanwhile, others were sobbing into their pillows because how dare you kill our boy. What's even crazier is how many other characters bite the dust too. Like seriously, don't get attached to anyone in this series, unless you want your heart stomped on repeatedly. Civilians, soldiers, side characters. It's a bloodbath out there. But hey, that's what happens when you mix revenge, hatred, and endless cycles of violence. Shout out to Isayama for not holding back though. Dude clearly doesn't care about therapy bills. So yeah, Attack on Titan takes the concept of MC dies to a whole new level. Not only does Eren meet his maker, but the entire journey leading up to it is filled with enough twists, betrayals, and emotional gut punches to leave you questioning your life choices. It's dark, it's heavy, and honestly, it's kind of brilliant. If you haven't watched it yet, go give it a try, but maybe grab some tissues and a stress ball while you're at it. Trust me, you won't regret it. Unless you do, then blame yourself, not me. Okay, I think that's it for this video, and probably the last one for this series. Unless there are others out there that I missed, then maybe I could make another one or even a part 4. Either way, if you like this video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more, please subscribe. Also, if you have any ideas or your own thoughts about the anime I mentioned in this video, let me know in the comments. Who knows? Maybe you have your own opinions or just want to say hi. Feel free to do so. Anyways, this has been your neighborhood senpai, wishing you an awesome day.